happy Monday, and I hope you all had a wonderful extra long weekend and you got to enjoy the nice weather that we had this weekend. To start off our day today, we're going to start off with our sight words. We're going to practice with 6 new sight words. Some of them might look familiar to you, some of them might be new to you. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say the 6 sight words that we're going to be working with today. Then I'm going to model 2 examples on our whiteboard to help us complete our worksheet. Then we will go over the materials that we need, and then we will complete 2 examples on our worksheet together before you all finish the rest on your own. So we're going to say each of the 6 sight words. If you know the sight word, you can read it with me. If you're not sure what the sight word is, you can repeat back after me so then we can become familiar with the sight words. We have when, from, blue, like the color blue, good, give, and was. These are the 6 sight words that we're going to be working with today. When, from, blue, good, give, and was. When and was will probably sound familiar to you since these are 2 sight words that we have on our sight word wall in class. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to complete one activity on my board. I have 3 steps to this activity, and this should be familiar to you because this is the way that we've been completing our sight word worksheets in our packet. The first step of this activity is I'm going to read the sight word below, trace the sight word by saying each of the letters as I trace them, and then writing the sight word on my own as I say each letter as I write it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the sight word below. The sight word is from. Remember, if you're not sure what the sight word is, we're sounding out our word, saying each letter sound, and then combining all of those letter sounds together. So our first word here is from. From. Now I'm going to trace the word from by saying each letter as I trace it. From. F, R, O, N. From. Now I'm going to write the sight word from below, saying each letter as I write it. The sight word that I'm writing is from. F, R, O, N. From. That is one activity on our worksheet. The second activity is filling in our sentence. So remember, we're going to choose one of the sight words from the word bank, and we're going to put the sight word onto the blank and making sure if our sentence makes sense and sounds correctly. The first step is we're going to read the sentence as is. So I'm going to read the sentence as is. It says, blank, will you be here? Now I'm going to pick a sight word from our word bank and plug that sight word into the blank. Then I'm going to read the sentence as a whole and see if that sight word makes sense and if that sight word sounds correctly. Okay, so I'm going to try the sight word when. When will you be here? Sounds correctly and makes sense. So when must be the sight word that I'm going to fill in the blank. So my sight word is when, so I'm going to write when here. When. So when will you be here? My sentence sounds correctly and my sentence makes sense. So when completes the blank and the sight word that I'm going to use to complete my sentence. I will also cross it off on my word bank up top, and that's just indicating to me that I already used that sight word and that sight word's not going to be used again. Now remember, usually it's not that easy, the first sight word that you pick that's going to fit into your blank. If, for example, when wasn't the sight word that sounded correctly and made sense, then I would move on to my list until I found the correct sight word to complete my sentence. Now we're going to complete 2 columns on our worksheet together. So materials that you are going to need is you're going to find your sight word worksheet. Now this is also in your second packet, not the new packet that we just received in the the mail last week. It's from our old packet that we've been using. And it's going to have the title, He is Very Good, on one side. Then on the back side, you're going to see those 6 sight words in the word bank. Excuse me. And then you're also going to need a pencil. So you're looking for the worksheet in the packet that we've been using, not in the new one that you just got in the mail, with the title, He is Very Good, and you're also going to grab a pencil. You know that if you need extra time trying to find those materials, pause the video here, and then when you have all your materials in front of you, you can press play so that we can complete this worksheet together. So the first step is you want to make sure that you have your pencil for your name, and you're making sure that you're on the side of the worksheet that says, He is Very Good. Excuse me. So then what we're going to do is on our name, we're going to write our first and last name. So I will write my first and last name, and you can do the same. Okay, now we have our 3 categories here, just like I had here. We have read, which means we're going to read the sight word. Trace, which means we're going to trace the sight word by saying each letter as we trace it. And then write the sight word on our own, saying each letter as we write it. So let's read our first sight word. The first sight word is when. When. Now let's trace when, saying each letter as we trace it. And trace along with me. When. W, H, E, N. When. Now let's write the sight word when by saying each letter as we write it. When. W, H, E, N. And you're going to complete this process for the next 5 sight words. But I want to complete one of the problems on the other side so we can set everybody up. So let's turn our paper over. And when you turn your paper over, you're going to see the word bank with the 6 sight words that we have been using. We're going to read the directions together. It says, choose the word to fit in the space in each sentence. Write it in the space. Excuse me. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read the sentence as is. So our first sentence says, blank will you be here? Now I'm going to choose the first sight word from my word bank and plug it in. We're making sure that when we plug in the sight word, does the sentence sound correct, and does the sentence make sense? So we're going to start with the sight word give, and we're going to plug it in. Give will you be here? Doesn't make sense and doesn't sound correctly, so give cannot be the correct sight word. So we're going to move on to the next sight word, from, and plug it in. From will you be here? Doesn't make sense and doesn't sound correctly, so from cannot be the correct sight word. So let's move on to good. Good will you be here? Still doesn't make sense and still doesn't sound correctly, so good cannot be the sight word. Let's go down to the next one, when. When will you be here? Sounds correctly and makes sense. So when is going to be the sight word we're going to fill in on the blank. When. So let's write the sight word when on the blank. W, H, E, N, and then we're going to cross it off on our word bank to tell us that that sight word has been used and we're not going to be using it again. You're going to complete that process for the next 5 sentences. But before I send you off on your own, I just want to explain the worksheet again, and we're going to review the 6 sight words. So on the first part of your worksheet, you're going to read the sight word in the column, trace the sight word by saying each letter as you trace it, and then writing the sight word on your own by saying each letter as you write it. On the back to complete the sentence, your first step is you're going to read the sentence as is with the blank. Then you're going to use your word bank by plugging in the sight word in the blank and reading the sentence, seeing if the sentence makes sense and it sounds correctly. If it doesn't make sense or sound correctly, then you move on to the next sight word. When you find the sight word that fits the blank and your sentence sounds correctly and makes sense, you're going to write that sight word on the line and cross it off from your word bank, which shows that that sight word has been used and you're not going to use that sight word again. When you're done completing both sides of your worksheet, you can have a parent, an older sibling, or an adult take a picture and send it to me so I can view your work. But before I have you go and complete the rest of the worksheet on your own, let's say the 6 sight words together that we're working with today. When, from, blue, good, give, and was. After you're done completing your sight words, it's then going to be time for a newspaper article in reading. So I will see you all back in reading.